Good evening, ladies and gentlemen out there in YouTube land. I am Deleted Scenes, and I would like to welcome you to the other side of midnight. Already in the chat, Faithful Blue Wrench, the bird woman of YouTube, Connie Cleary. The last of the Pacellis or something or other, something dark side, I don't know. Wrenches, as usual, keep an eye on this guy, please. She with the new smoldering avatar. Netters Network. Believe it or not, sometimes the show has guests. Yes, people actually agreed to come on this show. I am as shocked as you are. I can't believe I have a channel. In fact, I should probably just bow my head because I'm filled with shame. So I am going to be bringing them on, but first I must introduce a man who comes to us from the future, who probably knows how the show is going to go already, because it's already happened. Taji. Ladies and gentlemen, the host of Friday Night Last Call and co-host of Geeky Geezers, Last Call, Troy Pacelli.
Howdy, everyone.
The reason why I know you are all really here, besides, of course, Netters Network, who is with us in the background. Hello, Netter. Sorry, I didn't want to leave you out. Since Corner.
Oh my gosh, these intros.
My co-host for Mystery Movie Night at the Regal.
Unless she's on vacation.
Unless she is on vacation.
I'm going to miss 2 in a row. I'm still annoyed at that.
And my partner in
Netters.
crime, the toxic gunslinger himself, Jedi Bill.
Hello there.
Joining us in the chat, friend of the channel, Jesse Guajardo.
Hi, Connie.
All right, that was a great show. Good night. Thank
See
you.
ya.
Exactly.
Okay, I'm
Good
going
night.
to go ahead and take my...
Good to see you. All right,
Allergy
taking you
medicine.
all out. Good
Turn in.
night. Goodbye. There we go. End of the show. Good night. Take care. Stay strong. All that good stuff. You know how it... Just kidding. No. Come
Oh
back
my
here.
gosh.
You are not getting out of this shit that easy. No. We are doing a show, damn it.
Here's the funny thing. As we're
Right.
sitting there in the backstage, it's the StreamYard says, "You are backstage. Only the host can see you. The host may add you to the stage at any time. Be ready."
Right.
I almost
Mhm.
feel like that's StreamYard saying, either have your camera off or make sure your pants are on. Either
Right.
way,
Don't be picking your nose or anything.
Right, exactly.
I was joking the other night. Somebody, I don't know how it even came up in conversation. We were doing our a Dune 2 roundtable, and somebody had brought up the scene with Sting with the cod piece and everything.
Oh,
Yeah.
that was me. That was me.
Oh,
My
you did?
brother. My
Okay.
brother had texted me in the middle of the show, so I just had to share it with everybody.
Oh,
It was one about Sting wanting Austin Butler to wear his codpiece.
and then I said, well, I was going to wear my cod piece, and then I decided no. And then, of course, Al being Al went, damn, I underdressed.
Save that for your ornery fans.
Honorary fans.
Yeah, it was funny because he had just texted me. He had called me while I was on the stream, and so I sent him a text and said, "I'm streaming right now. What's up?" And he says, "Oh, I was just calling to chat a bit and find out how you liked Dune 2, because I guess he hadn't seen my review yet." And then he wrote back a little bit later. He says, "Oh, you're doing a roundtable discussion about it." So then, of course, I had to read that comment that he sent about the cod piece. It was perfect timing.
Yeah. Well, Dune 2 seems to be doing very well. I'm hearing
Yes.
it's upwards of 200 million worldwide already.
Close to, I think, 81
Or close
million here
to?
in the States. I think I saw an article that said in one weekend it made as much as the first movie made in 2 weeks. I knew it was going to do well. I think they were originally estimating potentially 90 million, but it made 81.5 or something. And they explained it had something, they think it had something to, or the miscalculation had something to do with something about IMAX and financials on that. I don't know, whatever. But it's done. It's doing well. I think it's going to have some legs too.
And if you're into those, IMAX and the really sharp sound and all that, I'm hearing it's a real piece.
I can
for
imagine.
that.
Oh, it really is. Yeah. Especially in the scenes with the sandworms, especially.
Oof, I bet.
They really amp up the sound for those
Man, it's like
scenes.
they're coming right out of your lap with popcorn in their mouths.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh,
Speaking
man.
of, what?
Did they have those at the theaters you guys went to, those popcorn buckets?
I didn't go to an AMC, but Chris Gore,
No.
the first time I saw these crazy popcorn buckets was Chris Gore had it. And then I saw a short video tonight where Rebecca Ferguson was talking about the pop. She had no idea, so she was looking it up, and they were talking about it. So I shared it on Twitter and tagged Chris.
That's only at what, AMC, right? To get
AMC,
Oh,
those?
AMC. Yeah.
They're probably sold out already.
I
Yeah,
don't
no.
know. Are we
No.
going to get into spoilers tonight? We did that a lot on Friday,
We
but Troy
kind of
hasn't
did.
seen
We
it
did
either.
that already on Friday. Yeah.
I was
We're
going to
not going
say,
to go.
you won't get any from me. I have not yet seen it. I
Then-
can only talk
Neither
about
have I.
Yeah, okay, so we,
No.
for you guys, and also Simon's going to try to see it this week, so he hasn't yet.
Okay. Yeah. No spoilers. No spoilers.
I mean, I don't feel like you can
we're really
spoil
bringing
it
up
for me.
box office.
I've
Really.
read the whole series, and the only thing you can possibly spoil is what's changed, and all that's going to do is piss me off. So I mean,
All right.
not to hear the spoiler, just to know what it,
To know what's been changed.
made.
Yeah, there's probably some stuff that's gonna. I mean, if you're really into the books, and you feel very strongly about certain things,
I mean,
in the books,
I've already heard, like there was a big leading up to it, and I don't know the actor's name. He was really good in the first movie. The guy that plays Thufir Hawat he was talking about some great scenes that he had just filmed. Come to find out, none of those are in the final release, and I'm like, the heck, they cut the guy out. I mean, what the heck? And I guess there's a bunch of other stuff that we were all kind of looking forward to. I mean, book fans. And it's like, really? How do you even tell some of this story without those characters? So now I'm starting to feel like some of what I heard from the director talking, and you notice I keep not saying his name now ever since he gave me.
You said it right. You said it correctly at before we even went live.
It's Denis Villeneuve, right?
Denis Villeneuve, yes.
Okay. So some of the things he said about it, though, is, I made these changes because you got to make changes when you're changing the format. And I was with him on that until I hear that it sounds like some of the changes he's made were because of the changes he made. It's like,
Well, I'd like to introduce to the panel our anime expert, Brandon, the anime guy. Good evening.
Well, hello everyone.
Thank you for
Hello,
joining
Brandon.
us.
I need to know how I sound. I'm using my headset microphone instead of my actual podcasting microphone.
You sound fine to me.
Okay. Yeah.
5x5.
good audio. Nothing sounds off other than it sounds like I'm broadcasting in FM.
Kinda. Yeah, now that you mention it, yeah, a little bit. That's not a bad thing.
Okay, that's good. Here's the problem that I face with this movie. A, I didn't see the first one.
Okay.
Oh,
B, I've read the book. C, I've listened to the audiobook.
Mhm.
And D, I know a few people who are, let's just put it, massive nerds when it goes to this book, and they're
Not happy.
very pissed, to
Yeah.
put it nicely. Especially with how many people out there have been more or less gushing over this when it doesn't sound like it doesn't deserve it.
I think a bigger and directly related to this is I thought that they were going to be pushing a big marketing campaign for it, and I'm not seeing it. You know, I don't see any like spin-off products or anything. It's not like, I mean, heck, we actually got more from the David Lynch. We got action
Yeah.
figures and stuff, and you
Well,
know,
that's partly what my
plastic phallic symbol. You know, I mean,
I shared the video that my bud did. He typically doesn't post videos on YouTube anymore because he's busy with his day job and trying to run his trucking business. But for him, for my bud Brian to come out and say this, to me it's very profound. And out of all the things that I've seen on this subject, or that I believe he has been the most spot on, because I know he is a huge Dune nerd. He knows it.
yeah.
And seeing and having him describe what they did change, it's the bridge too far. So
Yeah, I do feel like this is one of those ones that, although I don't normally buy into this particular stream of logic for this one, for me, I'm going to say it's true. Until I see it, I can't really, say one way or the other. I do intend to see it, but
yeah, the visuals on it were spot on. All of that doesn't seem to be a problem.
yeah.
It's the story.
I'm so glad I had no knowledge of the story.
And if you don't, you'll enjoy it for what it is, and it is for all intents and movie purposes a quality piece of sci-fi cinema. That part I don't deny. But as far as it being a Dune movie or a proper adaptation, or even as good as David Lynch's adaptation, it is not. It doesn't even touch the Sci-Fi channels. You watch the Sci-Fi Channel trilogy movies, and then Children of Dune.
Yeah.
Or watch David Lynch's version, or even watch the Spice Diver edit. The Spice Diver edit is fantastic.
I am seriously considering doing a watch party of that on my. Yeah, there you go.
Yes,
That's what Simon.
Thank you, Simon.
you knew it was going to happen. It had to happen, precisely because
That's a good
exactly what it. Looks
We
like.
were talking about that just a second ago. There's part of me that kind of wants to get one because I'm working on a Sarlacc diorama. And I think it would just be hysterical to do that, but don't know.
Yeah, who
All right.
knows?
We'll see if I can get a hold of one.
I'd like to say hello to a couple of people who've joined us in the chat. Darth Plato.
Hey, Darth Plato.
Hello there.
Pacific 414.
Howdy, howdy.
Mike.
And my stalkerazzi is here, Lady V Elements. Can't do a show without her.
She had some interesting comments on our Sound Booth Theater live stream a few days
And
ago.
of course, Sin. I think you know this character.
Yeah, that's my son.
Indeed.
Hi, Arturo.
Hello, Arturo. All right.
Oh man.
Let's see. I missed a couple of.
He's
Darth
pointing out
Plato.
that- Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
I was just saying he's pointing out that everyone has their avatar except for me. I know, I'm usually the only one with the camera on.
Let's see.
I don't feel
Darth
like being on
Plato-
camera tonight.
You're the
My eyes
best
are
looking
Yeah.
one on the panel. That's why.
Well, there you go.
No, that's not even opinion. That's empirical
Well, that-
fact.
there's that
Remember,
too, yeah.
Netter's sitting directly across from me. She would agree with me.
Jeez.
Well, I see Mr. Tom Connors out there.
Wow,
Hello,
Tom.
Not true.
good to
I mean,
see
look at
you.
this hair.
Oh,
I
there he
mean,
is.
just look at this hair. This
Look
took
at the
4
hair.
years to grow, people. This is, I mean, come on. This is mullet style back. And come on.
Yes, and it is glorious. Let the hair flow freely.
Yeah, Tom. If I understood the comments that I saw, Tom was saying, you know what? Can't you just enjoy the movie, you book nerds?
Oh yeah, you can always enjoy a movie. It just goes back to the whole thing of don't call it a Dune movie because it's it
When
tries
you're
to
on your
be.
third
It's like it impersonates
interpretation.
it, but it's not it.
Yeah,
I
this is the
think
third time they're taking a crack at it.
Yeah, the best way to describe the Villeneuve version is it's a good movie, but it's a bad adaptation.
Yeah. I think that's probably the most fair assessment of it. So, yeah.
My only question is how much of that is his, in quotes, vision, and how much of that is just doing what he's got to do to get the movie made. You know,
probably.
Yeah, and I'm wondering I'm wondering if he has given any. I mean, surely he has given interviews, discussions, or whatever for why certain things were changed. Because there's always a reason, and it's and it's gonna piss off somebody. That's just that's a given. I read all the Harry Potter books, and there was only one that kind of got under my skin about the stuff that had been omitted.
Yeah.
And that was because I had just finished the book the day I went to go see the movie.
Oh.
So it was super fresh, and I had all these ideas.
Yeah.
So.
Are you one of those that is kind of hoping that they go ahead with that Harry Potter series that they've talked about?
I have been hearing about it. I don't know a ton about it, but I'm interested because I really enjoy the books, and I did enjoy the movies. I thought they were really good.
Well,
and I especially want to, anything that J.K. Rowling is involved in, I kind of want to support her at this point. I almost bought that game.
Well, Hogwarts Legacy as a game
Hogwarts
is
Legacy.
fine. It's not my bag of, it's not my cup of tea as far as
I'm
as
not
far
into
as gaming
games,
currently
so
goes.
yeah.
But as far as my understanding, and as I said, this I cursory follow this stuff mainly because this is not what I normally would watch anyways. I have read most of the books, especially the last one. I did listen to the audiobook of that in full.
Oh, are you talking
So
about
I
Harry Potter
know.
or Dune?
Harry Potter.
Okay, which one did you
So-
listen to? The Jim Dale version?
Yes.
That's the best one.
Yeah. So
Okay.
I know what they did, what they didn't do, and with the movies in general, considering that she hadn't written all of them at that point, and just how things were at that time, they're as good as they were going to get, and treating them as their own thing is the best way to go. With doing a TV series, even if it's a shorter seasoned series, let's say 8 episodes, or being generous at 12, 13, or really generous at 18, you got a lot more time
Right.
to play with things.
Yes.
If it's going to be on HBO or the artist formerly known as HBO, they're gonna have a lot more time to go through the books, especially the early books because of their size, and to hit more of the notes and to hit more of what was in the books. Now, I believe the single biggest crux to this project is going to be, well, 2 things: casting and modernity. How much of the DEI ESG or the ESG die will they have to do in order to keep their financiers? I don't call them BlackRock. They can kiss my ass. They're Blackhawk. They suck ass. But how much of it do they have to do to keep them off their back, to keep their scores? Because they have to do that if they've got an institutional investor that is huge into that, they have to hit those things. And because of that, that's where the casting could become a big question mark, especially if they do what some of the plays have done or some of the stuff that has occurred after has done. So you know, we have
Yeah.
descriptions of how all these people are supposed to look. And
Right.
if you go and majorly tweak them, even more so than what they did for the movies in some respects, then you're going to have a lot of the OG fans that that read them when they were kids that are adults now, and or parents of the kids that read them who watched the movies, enjoyed the books with the kids. All those things, you're gonna have everybody all up in arms. So they have
I
to
guess
tread
we'll
lightly.
see. Yeah, that's true. That's
So,
true.
Yeah, it could be really good. In theory, this should be a no-brainer. It really should. This should not have any issues at all, with the exception of, as I said, current modernity and all the freaks, the blue-haired Landwell Brigade on the Twatterverse that go ree at the slightest sign or mention of the woman who is exactly like them except for one thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The fact
And that one
you know,
thing is enough to make them go completely crazy
she
and to
talks
lose
about
their
biology.
minds.
I know. It's
Yeah.
insane what they tried to
She
do.
follows
with
the
her.
science, you mean?
Yeah, it's really it's so retarded. Do
Oh,
we
yeah.
know it? So the season is this supposed to be that each season follows one book, or are they going to merge books into seasons?
If I understood correctly, it sounded like each season would be a book. The problem that I foresee is, the books get larger as it goes along. So something
right,
something like
and they're
Order.
going to age if they
Yeah,
take their time. They're going to age too much.
Yeah, they could have an aging problem. Exactly. If they get kids like how what's their three faces? I don't even remember their names. That's how much I don't care for them anymore.
Hermione, Ron, and
Yeah,
Harry.
they were what, 11, 12 when they started,
Yeah,
and
they were really young.
when they started the actual movie, that's how old they were.
And
but
they were
because of how
filming
long
them
it took
every
to get-
year, so
Yeah.
it was appropriate how they were aging.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Although by the time they did the last movie, they were older than what their characters were. So
Right,
but-
because they had, for some of the movies, they like after the first 2 or 3, I think, then they spaced it out to about
Yeah.
every year and a half or so. So they did get older, more
And
quickly
then you
than their
also-
characters.
you also have the possible tonal change because after the third movie is when the tonal change really happened. The first two,
Yes,
Chris Columbus, they're kids movies,
felt very
and
kidsy.
they work as that.
Yeah.
Are they going to do that type of thing with the first two seasons and then have that shift towards, teenage-ish level stuff, actual PG-13 level stuff, or are they going to try and shoot more for, like a TVMA rating? Who knows? That's the whole thing. There's too many unknowns, and there's too many things that could go right, but because of how things currently work,
Right.
the odds are it's going to go wrong. And it sucks to have that mentality
To
with
be
this type of
worried
stuff,
about that, yeah.
but we're forced to do it. We
Yeah,
have no
10
other
years
choice.
ago, we wouldn't have
Yeah.
been.
Exactly. 10 years ago, we would have been like, woohoo, all right, yay. Everything's right in the world. But now, nah.
Yes,
And welcome.
Arturo. Yes, Arturo. I did know that.
Ah.
Um,
And welcome
of his show?
to the show, Tom Connors. That's
Hey.
After Dark.
Oh,
Hello.
How's you
Tom.
guys
Yes.
doing? Now you moved on to Harry Potter, but
no, I mean,
Well, we're yeah.
and if I misrepresented what you were saying on X, I apologize. It's just I literally just saw it briefly between streams. I didn't really have a chance to dig in.
I don't know. Unless I heard you wrong, I don't know what you said exactly because I was like, I'm one of the people who's pissed off about all the stuff they changed,
Oh,
and
okay.
I'm actually seeing where people are making excuses for some of the problems that are in this movie and calling me crazy for even calling some of them out. And then
I
not
totally
only that, I had a
misunderstood.
DMCA claim today from Warner Brothers.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Because I was posting images of people who were reporting that the IMAX screening is being cropped off in some places, but they pulled that down on me. So yeah.
what?
Yeah,
That-
it's more like
Of course,
FOMAX.
That kind of defeats the whole point of why people are spending the money they are on IMAX.
Yeah.
Well, and I'm even willing to give them the benefit of the doubt that this is an isolated thing where it's only in certain IMAX screens where they're screwing up
yeah.
and crop, and zooming in too much or something. because
Yeah.
maybe people complained about, okay, because for how this usually works, unless a movie is completely shot in IMAX, which is a rarity,
Mhm.
they'll have certain scenes that are shot in IMAX. So you'll go to the IMAX and like it'll be like letterbox through some of the movie, and then all of a sudden the screen will open up, and then the whole
Oh.
screen will take up. Well, with Dune, it was quote unquote shot in IMAX. Well, people are reporting that it does shift aspect ratios in some of their screenings, but like I myself went to see it in IMAX and it did not shift once.
Oh.
And people are posting these images of the full widescreen version of the film, which is in like a 2:3 aspect ratio, and then the IMAX version where you're getting about 30% cropped off the sides so they can fill up the IMAX screen. So to me, it's like we're stepping backwards into the
Yeah.
days of pan and scan again.
Yep.
And it's
Early
like, hold
days of
up, now
DVD.
you're selling something that's supposed to be this, something you don't get to see because they're selling it like this idea that you get to see more of the picture in IMAX, right? Like that's the whole idea. And I always thought this was a stupid gimmick that they've done for some of these movies for a while anyway, because a lot of times, unless they're actually filming with the IMAX cameras, which they have for like Batman and stuff like that, the Nolan one and some other ones, they're really just giving us the open matte version is all they're doing. It's not really anything special. But anyhow, in this case, that's just one minor thing. That's a technical issue. I had many other issues with the movie. I don't know how deep you guys are getting into spoilers, but
Well, and I'm not sure
we're trying to avoid it tonight because
Yeah.
Troy hasn't seen it and neither has Bill.
Well,
So.
like I said, as a book fan, nothing's going to spoil the story for me. And, all you're going to do is inform me about what the differences are. Tom, I don't know when you started with us, but I saw your thing, fans of the book, everyone else enjoying part 2. And I guess I misunderstood which side you were saying you were.
Oh, I'm one of the fans of the book because without getting into specifics, I feel like they destroyed the ending of the story, and I have no idea how they're gonna go from here. Chani's character is a complete 180 from what she is in the book. Stilgar, although I loved Bardem's performance, there's some issues I have with the changes they made with him and some of the Bene Gesserit situation and Mentats, but there's another small brief thing that's kind of about midpoint in the movie-ish that isn't necessarily a spoiler. It's so bad because it's just kind of like one small scene, but to me it really rubbed me the wrong way, and I brought it up, and it's something I've kind of been arguing with some people about because they think I'm crazy, and this is where I was saying is like I feel like some people are building up walls and excuses for this movie.
Yeah.
Where if this was any other time, it's okay to call these things out in Star Wars or Star Trek or even Harry Potter or something like that, where all of a sudden people are just like, I feel like they're just so bamboozled with how beautiful this movie is that they're completely overlooking this. And if you're somebody who's not aware of the books or have never read the books or not real deep into the lore, these things will be easy to overlook or miss.
Yeah.
But like the one thing that stuck out to me that I think I can get into without being too spoilerific is there's a scene in the movie where it is explained to Paul that there's two Fremen. There's the North and the South.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And the South is overly religious, and they're being made fun of by the younger Northern Fremen for being so religious and hung up on tradition and following an overly charismatic leader who some think is a big old liar. Does this kind of draw any parallels to anybody else that we may have had in our recent history?
Modernity.
This is what I've been getting from what
because
I've
in the
been
book
seeing.
there is no North and South Fremen.
No, there's not.
There's no.
They are unified in their belief system. Now, it's absolutely appropriate to the source material if you take the general concept of their beliefs and falling for a charismatic leader and deifying a messiah and so forth. That was a big part of what the author was originally trying to get at. But
Absolutely.
I feel like when you do it that way and you split it up that way, you are pointing the finger at specifically people in certain regions of the world or maybe a specific country even. And it's almost more insidious than a lot of the other woke stuff we've been seeing. Instead of messing around with gender stuff, instead of messing around with race swaps and things like that, you are taking something that already addresses a topic and turning the screw on it. And I think that's even worse.
Not to be too on the nose.
Yeah.
But I get called crazy for bringing this up, by the way. I've been called a lot of names for bringing this up. Yeah.
Yeah, you're not crazy because they're doing it. And my bud that I made mention of earlier, he did his first video in quite a long time because he is such a huge Dune nerd. But the way that he put it and the way I understood it is there's a lot of people that are in the northern regions of this country, especially back in the east, who are very, let's say, irreligious, whereas a lot of people in the south are not. They are a lot more, in some fashions, more zealotry about their religious beliefs. But there's also that, not only just the who are you voting for aspect, but also just that part of it. And it doesn't work within the world of Dune because they were not like that at all in the book. Yeah. They can't.
Yeah.
They have way too many other things to think about, like survival,
right,
than fighting about whether
Well, and these have been oppressed people for how many years, right? Like generations. So like there's that aspect of it too. And I mean, to even kind of tie it in with the big, elephant in the Dune that everybody's obviously talking about, and that is Zendaya. But I have less problems with her than I do what they've done to the character.
Yes.
Right. See, that's the big elephant in the Dune that a lot of people are still also going, well, it's not that big of a deal. I'm like, but it is.
It's a huge deal.
And they're like, well, they're still taking it to the same place it was before. They're just using her as the character to blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, yes, but it's not Dune, right? Like, and I feel like people would be making these same points if it would, like I said, Star Wars, Lord of the Rings, or anything like that. Like, I mean, it's really like if at one point in Lord of the Rings, Samwise is like, you know what, Frodo, F you can take the ring to Mordor yourself. I'm out.
Yeah,
right? Like
exactly.
That's what it kind of feels like when you're in this, all of a sudden in the movie when it happens, because you're like, hold up, time out. And they compress a lot of things into a smaller period of time that happen over years in the book. And so that's lost as well. And again,
that's a major problem.
Yeah. And again, there's too much stuff that's kind of left hanging over for Dune Messiah when Dune Messiah has already got enough work to do setting up Children of Dune, right?
Yeah.
It's already a bridge as it is. So now you've done and give it more work to do. And yeah. And then it's like, if you're going to do Dune Messiah, you almost have to finish it off with Children of Dune. And you've gotten to this point now where it's like, is Dune Messiah going to be this completely different idea than what the book is? Because you've almost set yourself up in that way. Sure, things can still lead to a point that's similar, but frankly, I just feel like he's done less with the 5.5+ hours that he's gotten already on screen than, and he has had more time than the sci-fi miniseries did. Yeah. And obviously David Lynch, and those two did a lot more to get more of this universe, the story in the story.
And that's, I was going to say, I think that's where Simon's question comes up, where he was saying, what was it? Was Vinny Villeneuve doing that, or was he just setting something up that couldn't be set up the same way it was in the books because it wasn't translatable? This is what I was saying earlier. I feel like he edited things out in characters and elements that were necessary. And by doing that, then he's got to invent a new way to tell certain story points. That's his own problem. That's his own. He's
painted himself into his own corner, basically.
Exactly.
And I agree with you there, Troy, because like this is the way I feel about it, because this is one of the big, and I'm not going to say you're giving an excuse, Simon, but but here's what I'm saying is like, I'm not saying Simon's giving an excuse, but that's what a lot of people have hidden behind is certain things like, well, you just can't get that much into a movie. It just doesn't translate. It's like, but then explain the sci-fi Dune miniseries.
Yeah.
Because they managed to squeeze 90% of that book into that in less time.
Yeah.
With all the characters and all the stuff that happens. Sure, there was a few things that were compressed here and there and left out and changed slightly, but not dramatically.
Not
right?
like
They did the
this.
best they could to fit into like 3 hours, or it was like just over 4 hours, I think it was.
Yeah.
They had.
All right,
It's
Tom,
like
let me
90
ask you.
3 90-minute bits, but yeah.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this. Do you think that a lot of this stuff is being done because of pressures being applied to Warner Brothers through the institutional investors that maybe have a tentacle or two with the ESG DIE, or is
That's
it just
very
the
possible.
director being up his own ass?
Could be. It could even be Zendaya's people came back and said you can't be having and I mean this isn't really a spoiler to a point because it doesn't even really happen this way in the movie, and if you know the book, you know it does happen in the way it does, is they take her character and they have really diminutivized what she was in the book, and it feels like just so they could have her have agency over this situation, like somebody said, oh, you can't have her being okay with Paul marrying this other chick.
In that culture, you did. It was a matter of
And that's
honor.
just it. You've not only you've lost the complete idea of what is going on here by compressing and pushing and changing the character the way you have, and not setting things up properly. Because for those who may not know the ending of the book, real quick, it's like basically Paul, he and Chani have been together for a couple of years already. And they've gone through a lot of crap, and a lot of crap that's not in these movies when they decide that this is how they're going to go about doing this. Because at first the idea is they just want to get back the city and get control of the spice back to get everything for basically to avenge his father's death and what they did to them. But then a bunch of other things happen, or at least specifically one thing that happens that sets Paul off like hardcore. And so then it becomes more about, I'm just going to destroy it all and take it down because these people are horrible and they don't deserve it. And so he becomes more of this tyrant than anything else. And it does go there to a point, but it's more about all these events that happen and you kind of understand the progression. And then by the time you get to the end of the book, the whole thing about him getting married to this other chick is he basically is telling the emperor, this is my punishment to you. Not only am I taking everything that you have away from you, your throne, your control of the spice, everything. I'm taking your daughter and I'm going to kill your bloodline.
Yep.
Because your daughter is going to be in a sexless, loveless marriage. And it's nothing but a political marriage then to put him in a position where he is now the emperor and the other houses then should fall in line. Because the threat is if they don't fall in line, he's going to destroy the spice, taking everything back to zero. And of course,
100%.
All the things
exactly right.
Mother of
and Chani is 100% on board with this because she knows it's for the freedom of her people and that this marriage is nothing but a political marriage, and it's a big F you to the emperor and all the people who tried to destroy, the House of Atreides and who have been oppressing her people for generations.
And she has Lady Jessica to bolster her and encourage her because Jessica was in the same situation with.
Well, and Jessica's the reason this whole thing happened. Otherwise, it just would have happened. And the Atreides would have just been wiped from history at that point, basically.
True.
Because the whole reason it was happening was the Duke was getting too popular. So the Emperor felt threatened by him. The Harkonnens already had a vendetta against him. And the Spacing Guild and the Bene Gesserit generally work in tandem to where they both seen fit that, we got to get rid of this guy because otherwise he could disrupt things. We don't need things disrupted. His freaking concubine went against our plan, which is what the Bene Gesserit are pissed about, because she went and had a son, and because she went and had a son, this whole thing is screwed up, and that's what set this whole thing in motion to begin with, right? Like that's, and if it wasn't for her doing that, they would have gotten away with basically just killing the whole bloodline and his family, and they would have been dead. Nobody would have said another word about him. 20 years from now, nobody even remembered who the House of Atreides were.
Right.
So it's all because of Lady Jessica loving Duke enough that she gave him a son that saved their family bloodline and basically blew up all this crap that, the plans within plans that were going on with the Spacing Guild and the Bene Gesserit and the Harkonnens and the Emperor all got blown up and basically put out in the open because of what Paul was doing. And he wasn't supposed to exist.
Justice being served.
Exactly. Justice being served because he was supposed to be a girl And if she had just done what she was supposed to do in the first place, because the Bene Gesserit can control the type of the sex of the child that they have. They're that in tune with their body, among many, many other things, that she was supposed to do that because that was part of the plan. They were planting this idea that somebody was supposed to come and be a Kwisatz Haderach and lead the people of the desert out of the desert and to freedom, when basically all they were doing was setting them up to follow what would be the daughter of Duke Atreides and Harkonnen offspring, and they would think that was the Kwisatz Haderach, right? So then they would have control over the spice, the Atreides, and the Fremen all in one fell swoop, and Lady Jessica screwed all that up. That's what this is really all about.
Yeah.
Right? Like, that's the thing, is that's kind of lost in the mix of a lot of this crap.
And unfortunately, I'm not even willing to give at this point now. I was willing to give a lot of credit to Denis Villeneuve as, an auteur, and he knew storytelling and so forth, until I heard that he has added a scene where someone else goes up against the Gam Jabbar, and it's like, no, now you have completely missed the point of that whole test. You've completely made it superfluous, and you don't understand the story now, is how I'm looking at this director.
It just makes me glad that I didn't that I'm not gonna go see this. And I know that the spectacle or the visuals are top notch, but knowing how much they've changed of everything, I'll just listen to the audiobook again. I'll take another 24 hours and dive into that because it has the detail, and
yeah, it does.
I like it well enough to where I'll do that. And I definitely need to read the rest of them and get the rest of it filled in. Of course, just the 6 books, the main 6. So
I can answer Jesse's question here.
Yeah,
So,
I think that was just. Go ahead.
There's two elements to that. So first, this was David Lynch's. Well, first it's.
I actually miss it, to be honest with you, not to disrupt the
honestly,
flow here,
yeah. First, it's David Lynch being David Lynch, playing with sound and sound levels. That's a talk for Tuesday night live from Sparkwood and 21, I think. But also a lot of translating from a book to a film to live action is, how do you convey the inner monologue? You can read a character's inner monologue in a story. How do you convey that? Sometimes you can do it in dialogue, but sometimes there is no one to hear that inner dialogue. That's what he was going.
Or things that wouldn't sound natural said out loud. Yeah, basically, it's the equivalent of the thought bubbles in a comic book.
Right? Yeah, exactly. That's why you're the pro here. You take a lot of words and make it simple.
Honestly, I'm not that great. Sometimes I have my own issues, so don't feel bad.
Well,
that's why I script doctor around to rewrite most of what I say. Yeah.
Yeah, I hear you. Well, script. See, there's the other thing. I kind of wish Script Doctor had been working on this script. He could have told Denny, you know what? Maybe you don't understand the story as well as you think. What is the Gam Jabbar test? It's to test whether or not you have the intelligence and self-restraint of a human being and are not an animal. When an animal passes the test, you have a problem.
Yeah. Man, I love that book. It really is such a good book.
It is.
Well, and I mean, that whole complicated explanation I just went through is like, that's the toughest part of the Dune universe, right? Like it was so dense that, the Lynch movie was cursed from the beginning, and it wasn't even David's fault, because they promised him the movie that he would get to do whatever the hell he wanted, and he did. He shot all the shit that he wanted, but what he didn't have was final cut. And he didn't realize that they were going to cut it down to 2 hours. And his cut was around 4 hours. So like,
I would like to see that out.
Well, you can kind of. What there is out in existence, and you can actually see it right on YouTube. It's called the Spice Diver cut. And what this is a fan who dug through all the different versions that were out there between the television version and other places where they found deleted and alternate takes and scenes. and they've recut the film as close to the book and David Lynch's original shooting script as possible. And that means it doesn't have the rain ending and all that kind of crap on it. It actually has closer to the book ending. It has all the Fremen scenes that were deleted from the movie and all that kind of stuff. It's framed differently than the original film is. They utilized stuff that was made for the TV version. That was the other thing, is not only did they have, when this movie came out in theaters, they had pamphlets to explain all the different places and houses and how it all worked and the politics of it all. On the TV version, they had to do that visually. So what they did was they came up with this non-animated, stilted, painted frames of pictures explaining the entire history of what got from Earth to now, where they're in these different houses and why they don't have robots, but yet it's still 20,000 years in the future and all this other kind of stuff. It explains, you know, the Mentats a little bit, the spacing guilds, how the spice is used and stuff. All of this crammed onto the front of the movie just to help explain to people what it's all about. You know, but they found in the Spice Diver version, it's brilliant because he found a way to disperse that throughout the film. You get all the information you need to know. Sure, it's not a 1-for-1 to the book, but it feels and looks the most like I think most people picture in the book. And to me, Dune's Lynch, production-wise, like the design, is better still than Villeneuve Favre's.
Yeah,
because his as beautiful as it looks, some stuff doesn't always still make sense to me, to where I love if you dive into David Lynch's version, like everything there makes sense and it's there for a reason. Like the Harkonnen planet is a very barren and stripped planet. They live in these very like pipes, all these pipes and iron and all this stuff, you know what I mean? Industrial shit. And then you go to the Harkonnen planet, or I mean the Atreides planet, you know, and their planet is, you know, lush and it's got forests and it's got water. So all the stuff in there, but they don't build with like metal and stuff. There's gold plating, but if you really pay attention to the background, everything is built out of wood.
Yeah,
on their planet, everything is wood, ingrained in wood, and this beautiful woodwork all throughout. The Emperor's palace is all marble and all this other beauty. Like it's they pay attention to what is on the planet and what these people would use in their settings, right? And then you get to, of course, Dune, and that planet is all stone and sand and you know that kind of, you know, so it's just brilliantly thought out. And some of that's here, but some of it just feels like it's there because it looks cool. To where in Lynch's version, it feels like everything was thought out, like it's there for a reason, right? You know, even the weirding way and stuff like that is missing in this version.
Yeah, I was pointing out to somebody last week on some stream, I feel like some of the good things I liked about the first Denis Villeneuve film, it seemed like he was homaging David Lynch a little bit in some elements. Now I'm starting to think maybe he was just parroting because he didn't know better. I
think he did grow up with that version. I mean, clearly, if you'll see the still suits, the design of the worms isn't exactly, but it's kind of similar. I mean, exactly. Popcorn bucket here, but
we were just talking about that. I was saying I'm working on a because I have the big.
Good luck. They've been sold out in most places.
That's too bad. I have the big Jabba Sandcrawler, and I've been wanting to put together a Sarlacc diorama. I'm like, how funny would it be to use?
We looked it up earlier. They're going for like $50 to $100 already online.
It's not that important.
You might want to call around your AMCs in your area, see if maybe somebody has one they can set aside for you or something.
Yeah, no, never mind. It's not that important.
Or somebody can pick you up an extra one.
But
answer Jesse's question, I found this just at random today. I had forgotten I actually had it. I haven't even opened it yet. This was the Sci-Fi Channel.
Nice.
Yes.
Edition.
Very nice.
Of Dune. And also...
You'll have to let me know if that's edited or not. Yeah.
Children of
you got Children of Dune. If it don't have titties, then it's the edited version.
I have to rebuy both of those because I loaned them out to somebody and I have no idea who, and I never got them back. But I do have that Spice Diver edit that you were talking about. Would you believe I pressed it on DVD? Still haven't watched it. So I'm thinking about doing a watch party of it.
Well, I still have to open up this bad boy. This is the newer version of the Sci-Fi.
Wow.
Very nice.
Nice.
It's got like a making of book in there, 4 discs.
Jeez.
It's got not Lego, but it's like a Lego like worm. They can't actually. It's not like actual Lego, but
Wow.
you know what I mean. Yeah, it's all kinds of stuff in there. Bunch of production art stuff and all that kind of stuff.
But yeah, I have seen that, and I did get. I have a friend of mine at work that had the unedited on DVD, so
it might be unedited on the DVD. Actually, I would think.
Yeah,
Hallmark actually owns that. Believe it or not, it's actually not owned by Sci-Fi, but it just happened to be on Sci-Fi. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I've seen it. It's pretty good. I did like it, and
it is the best adaptation still, as far as 1-to-1 to the book. Yeah. There's a few changes and compressions, but other than that, it's the best represent. And Children of Dune is surprisingly really good and holds up still pretty well, even though it wasn't made that far. Like the DVD version, you're not going to notice, Steven, but like on the Blu-ray version, you could definitely tell, because anything that doesn't have CGI augmentation in it looks great. Looks great in HD because it's just a film scan. Yeah, and simple. Anytime there's any CG augmentation, that back then they didn't process it in HD quality, so then it all of a sudden dumps down to like 480p quality.
Ouch.
You're not going to notice it on a DVD, but on the Blu-ray, it stands out like a sore thumb. But Children of Dune, that was only 2 years later, but the technology had already gotten that far ahead, and they must have thought ahead. So that one's all processed in HD. That one looks brilliant in Blu-ray, and frankly, I know it may be sacrilegious, but I still say Children of Dune is kind of the superior story. It's one of those few stories that, to me, the Paul Atreides tale, it gets better through the end. You know, like for instance, Star Wars. People don't like Return of the Jedi as much as the first two. I'm one of those people, you know, and I understand it goes downhill a little bit as you keep going along. Not too many trilogies by the time you get to a third or whatever filmer is good. Even Two Towers for me is a peak over the Return of the King. Return of the King is a little bloated, you know?
Yes. Yes, Return of the King is.
Just when you think it's
Return of the
over,
King's
there's
fine.
Another ending.
But it's
Two
all supposed to be
Towers is
one
superior.
story at the end of the day. But yeah, but to me, Children of Dune is a great, you know, where it leaps to, and it really does a better job of telling the story of Anakin Skywalker than George Lucas did. And clearly, you could tell where he got a lot of the inspiration.
Oh yeah.
Especially once you take the whole story as a whole, which, because just for those who don't know anything about Children of Dune, they have twins.
Yep.
And one of them is the chosen one.
Yeah.
So go figure on that. And of course, Paul is a lot like Anakin. So there's huge similarities there and parallels to be drawn.
Yeah, no, you're not wrong with that.
Mhm.
I got to get those sci-fi series again. I got to redo those.
And that's one thing I will say positive about this movie. Like Timothée Chalamet, he's not somebody I gave two craps about before. But after seeing his performance in this film,
yeah,
I was like, oh my gosh, this is the person, like this is the kind of person George Lucas should have hired to play Anakin, right? Because he starts off as this meek kind of unsure of himself character. Then when you thrust him into what he needs to do in the end of the first film and into the beginning of this one, he starts becoming a little bit more confident, having that hero's journey. Then he gets his confidence. Then he gets his overconfidence.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then that's where you see that twist of this person might be getting a little too powerful or getting ahead of themselves here. And that's what they needed with Anakin. It was like that you missed that subtlety of, you know, it's not so much that they're a bad person to begin with. It's just that they get this power, and do they really know how to use it? Especially if they get something that drives them, like revenge or, you know what I mean? Like anything like that. But yeah, I feel like I'm talking too much. So
no, when I was when I watched the first movie, I was not sold on Timothée Chalamet because I was like, okay, he's good for the first half of the story. He's a good Paul Atreides. He looks the part, you know, because he looks like he's 12, you know. He's just, and that's how it works. But when he has to be Muad'Dib, when he's 100 proof Muad'Dib, I couldn't believe that he could be that tough. And he sold me. I bought it. And I'm on this. I'm in his camp now, kid. Between movies, go and wear all the women's clothes you want. It's just as long as you turn in a good performance when you're on the screen, you know. And another Another man I want to single out in this is Austin Butler as Fade Ralph. Holy shit, was he good?
I loved him in here.
Damn, I mean,
I was
he's
super
the best.
impressed.
He's the best on-screen Fade Ralph, hands down.
Yeah. Tom, I'm starting up a new stream on Mondays. I'm gonna start doing watch parties. If I was to do the Spice Diver, would you be interested in joining me as a guest to talk about it?
Oh boy, Mondays are like one of my most loaded days.
Oh, that's a good point. I
Depends
forgot
on
about
what
that.
time. I could definitely maybe make a cameo appearance and give my thoughts on it. But
I can, or you know what, to accommodate you, I'd be happy to do it as one of my regular Friday streams.
Fridays might be a little easier. Yeah.
Okay, I'll shoot you a note offline and see if we can't work out the details.
Yeah, it's just Mondays between the morning show and Toxic Femme and stuff.
I had forgotten. I wasn't thinking. You're absolutely right. I hear that. Yeah. Good. Because I need to watch it. That's my excuse. That's my excuse to watch it. Is we do a stream and we pull Tom in. And
well, it is online. Like I said, it is on YouTube, but you can also it is legally available. I don't know if this box set is still available or not, but this is from a German import that has the original film in 4K.
Wow.
Spice Diver cut, the TV cut. The only thing it doesn't have is the cruddy 3D conversion.
I didn't even know there was a 3D conversion.
Oh, I've got it.
Oh, you've got the 3D TV though, don't you?
It's not even worth it. It's not even real 3D. It's like literally like just makes it look like your screen's going
like a picture box. Yeah.
It's weird. So I feel like I wasted my time on it, but it's a nice little digi book here. But
yeah, it is pretty cool.
Well, that's the only version that's not in that big box set there. But if you can still get your hands on that's a German box set, and it was put out by Coke or Coach Films, I think is the name that's on it.
Yeah, Coke. Yeah. I know.
They actually have the Spice Diver cut on there. It's in 720p, but it's there.
Nice. Good to know. Yeah, now I'm kind of fired up, and I am kind of thinking, after all I've been feeling about this new movie, I do definitely want to revisit David Lynch now. So, and I didn't know that the Spice Diver edit, had the in quotes correct ending. That's kind of cool too.
Yeah, and he even fixed because for the TV version, which is where they got a lot of the extended scenes and deleted scenes, but when they showed it on TV, they didn't spend the money to do any of the eye effects, right? Like that was expensive. That was like the equivalent of doing lightsabers back then.
True.
Basically like frame by frame rotoscoping over the actors. So nowadays it's easy as pie to do it on a computer. So yeah, he went and fixed all that too, for instance. So that's what's cool is you get all the.
Speaking of easier to do things on computers these days, Tom, let me ask you your opinion about this. I've been watching. I think it's WDW Pro's been talking about this technology where you can use AI to create, moving pictures of, 2D photos and stuff like that. Do you see a time in the very near future where some fan may take the Denis Villeneuve film and recreate some of the missing scenes using this kind of AI technology?
Oh yeah. I've already predicted that. Because as fast as this stuff is progressing, and we're getting to the point now where you even have some that can do full-fledged video, and it's starting to look pretty photorealistic, and they're getting around a lot of the glitches and weird things that are dead giveaways. So
extra fingers and stuff.
I don't think we're too far away from that being a possibility. And I've already predicted that Hollywood and a lot of other places are not going to really pay much attention until they finally do something that. Like I said, some kid's gonna redo the Star Wars sequels with AI, and they're gonna be better, and it's gonna go viral, and Hollywood's gonna panic. But then again, I did not predict Taylor Swift, so Taylor Swift coming out and freaking out over the AI stuff a few weeks back.
Oh,
that to me, I'm like, okay, this might swing things in motion a little bit quicker than some kid in their basement making a better version of the Star Wars sequels with AI.
However you look at it, welcome to the 21st century, people. You better.
Well, and Hollywood needs to learn to embrace it too, because there is ways to embrace this. Like, and I don't mean by actually making movies with AI, but what I mean is like they can reinvent their catalog. Like, let's say you're a huge fan of Lord of the Rings or Dune, like we were just talking about.
Yeah.
You just tell your home media player, I want to watch Dune, but I want to see myself in the role of Paul Atreides. You can literally
Oh my gosh.
these movies now, and that is going to be one of the selling points. I guarantee you. And they're short-sighted on some of this shit. It's like that is the way to use this technology. Is there's ways to. It's like, look, are you so hung up that people want to be in the movies? Then literally put them in the movies, right?
Yeah.
Like, here you go.
Oh my gosh, Tom, that's incredible. I wouldn't mind.
I want to be Luke Skywalker. Put me in as Luke. You know,
I want to be in the David Lynch Dune, and I want Netter to be.
Or to pull a really funny reference, you can say, I want to watch Casablanca, but I want it in full color with a happier ending.
Oh, damn.
That's a Gremlins 2 reference, if anybody caught that.
Yeah.
That would be sacrilegious to do something like that.
Or the Saturday Night Live sketch. I want to see the alternate. Oh no, I'm sorry. It was The Simpsons. I want to see the Killing Spree ending.
The other thing is, if you ask for Citizen Kane in color, Orson Welles will pop out of your machine and slap you in the face.
Yeah, exactly.
How dare you?
That would be kind of.
Gosh,
You
can you
tell
imagine
Ted
what
Turner
this
to
could do
keep
for-
his damn crayons off my movie.
You keep
Well,
your
there's that.
fucking mind crayons off my movie.
Can you imagine what this could do for horror movies? Having yourself inserted in a horror movie? That would really mess with your head.
Oh yeah, I see
no.
sci-fi, fantasy, action, horror movies will really be able to utilize this. I mean, come on, can you I mean, basically the campaigns write themselves.
Yeah.
You can be a part of the movie, you know, or it's even augmented by AI and stuff like with to be VR. I mean, through the AI, you can even do that kind of stuff too, right? Because it can build. They have seen it now where people have literally and it's almost like I'm almost pissed that they did it, but I'm impressed. For instance, somebody took scenes from Raiders of the Lost Ark, which is shot, you know, talking about aspect ratio.
Right.
Because that movie's shot in the really wide 235 or 240 aspect ratio. But they used AI to fill out the segments at the top and the bottom so it can be seen on a phone. So
Wow.
they reformatted it so that the AI filled in the top. Now, a lot of it was just like fill in extra crap like rocks and ground and more
Sure.
extra sky and stuff like that. But just the fact that they can do that,
Yeah.
we're getting to that point where it can do it without it even looking like it's fake, is like we're getting to a point where people can get very creative with what's out there. So it's going to get interesting in the next 10, 15 years.
I'm thinking then, given that, now that you've put that vision in my head, I'm seeing the movie starring Tom Connors fighting dinosaur ninjas with nunchucks. That's gonna happen.
Make everything better. That's a fact.
As a turtle.
But I mean, yeah, I mean, it's not far off. We're getting to that point where you could
Tom does Dallas.
do a lot of weird stuff.
Tom
Great,
does that.
Simon. Thanks. That's an image I didn't need in my head.
Well, it was for a good cause.
He needed the money.
Yeah, AI. When we talk about AI, it's interesting, you know, going back to the book itself and how they had the rise of AI and how we had to overthrow it. So it's funny. A lot of the pictures I've seen with AI, you know, with the T800 endoskeleton, what we thought AI would be, what it's actually doing, and it's the T800 painting a picture right now.
Right.
It's how it is now,
True.
but I still find it interesting though that even back in, you know, the 60s, the whole thought process of artificial intelligence or computers getting to the point where they can gain that, let's say, that level of consciousness and or try to overthrow their creators, even back then was being talked about. And of course there was, it's been talked about earlier than that, but being able to overcome that, outlaw it, and then having a human basically take the place of the AI and have computing abilities comparable to a computer at the time. So we've been warned about AI many, many times. We just got to be careful.
Oh yeah, like I like to say, tell me the movie or the story where AI is our friend. I'll wait.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, it is
don't
live,
exist.
Dulcimerist.
And the answer is, sorry, Dave, I can't do that.
Well, I mean, to a certain degree, Electric Dreams, at least by the end of it.
There's
War
a
Games,
few
at least by the end of it.
instances, but for the most part, let's be real, they mostly end up like
No,
the
you're
Matrix,
right.
Terminator. I mean, eventually we're batteries or fodder for something, and or we're just too stupid to survive. So they have
Short
to
Circuit,
Yeah, and that was
Johnny Five.
Yep.
in
See,
AI.
I don't know
Simon,
if that's actually AI. Is it though? Because that's sorry,
AI
Steve.
by accident.
yeah,
Is
well,
it though? Because he considers himself alive and he is a
Yeah.
sentient being.
and also the AI is not responsible for killing us in that movie, even though humans are ostensibly
Well, and
wiped out by the end of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, as far as Johnny Five, just to get back to that, like they're normal robots, right?
Right.
That's the whole point of when they keep going. Well, he can't do that. Why? Because he's just a robot. He just runs programs. Like that's part of the joke throughout the whole movie.
Yep.
And then, like by the time you get there, like basically even Steve Gutenberg is convinced, like, dude's alive.
Yeah.
Or at
Yeah,
least
it
he's
passes the
convinced he's
Turing
alive,
test.
right? I mean, and I guess in the sense, if you want to say that he's convinced he's alive, then he's an AI of sorts, but it's not man-made AI, so does it really fall into that category? I mean, I guess it would be considered artificial intelligence, so it's a good conversation to be had. But
What's
I mean, I think-
interesting
yeah,
is
go ahead.
there is an element. Doesn't it have something to do with getting hit by lightning or something like
Right,
that?
you have the Frankenstein element there. That's
And
the thing.
that is crucial because
The touch
it
of God.
draws. Yes, exactly. The touch of God, like he was given a soul. He even takes and
It's even
reprograms.
referred to that, I believe, in the script that way. But like,
I wouldn't be surprised. Again, somebody who really knew their storytelling, even in a comedy. There's even a scene where he takes 3 other models like himself and reprograms them into the Three Stooges. They don't gain intelligence or anything like that because they don't have souls.
Well, and as the audience at first, you don't really think about how important that part is, right? Because it is important, and the people who understand that it's important are Ben and Steve Gutenberg's character, right? Because they're like, he did that? Like,
Yeah.
he can't do that. Like, he did.
Yeah.
That's the whole thing, is they cannot understand, they can't wrap their head around the fact that this robot is acting like a human being and making decisions and reacting like a human being. Because it should just sit there.
In
and
some
wait for
ways,
the
even
program.
better, because when he realizes his whole purpose was to be a weapon, he's horrified by that.
Well, he's against death, yeah, right. Once
Yeah.
he realizes what disassembling and killing something actually means, then that's the beauty of Johnny Five, is he's like a child, right? Like he's learning things as he goes along. And the Short Circuit films are very overlooked, and I talk about them all the time. But
I love those movies.
and I even
remember
love
seeing
Short
them as a
Circuit
kid.
too a lot.
Yeah, you can't make Short Circuit 2 now because, that'd be insensitive,
Los locos kick your ass.
With friends like these,
Yes.
we'll be eating enemas.
Oh yeah.
What
Great
if it goes
movies.
out and decides to melt down a busload of nuns? Huh? What then, huh? What would you put the headlines on that? Nun soup? Ben!
I'd forgotten how much I love that.
I haven't driven in like 10 years. You know what people are liking at night? What? Lights. Yeah, it's much better.
Yeah. Couldn't make those movies today.
No,
I want to know why is it, Dave?
Uh-oh, Hal's here.
because you're
Yes.
not allowed to. Oh, go ahead. I'm
watching
getting
you
caught up in other
humans
doors.
interact with each other. Quite entertaining.
He must
Well,
have stumbled
then-
on Pornhub.
Open the Pompeii doors, Hal.
Oh yeah, pretty soon you're gonna have AI completely revolutionizing the porn industry.
Yeah, anything you want. A la carte.
Right.
And for people like Hannibal Lecter, that means literally.
Wait, What was that
Yeah.
movie with Bruce Willis where? Oh, Surrogate.
I was getting ready to say that. Yeah.
You know, I feel like we're getting there. And that's scary.
Well, and you had that other one with Arnold Schwarzenegger too. Was it Sixth Day or whatever, where he's a clone, and then
Yeah. 6th Day.
Oh, I haven't
Then-
seen that one.
you also had Daryl.
You
Now there's
haven't?
one.
No.
The heck?
Daryl is one that people don't
Dude.
bring up when you talk about AI. I don't know if you
Oh,
guys remember
Daryl.
that one.
Oh, I
with the
thought
kid,
you
Oh
I
yeah.
used
Where
to
he's-
really like that movie.
where he's the
back in
robot
day.
with the AI. He is a robot with AI as far as my
Mhm.
memory, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah,
Yep.
No, I think he was human, but that was augmented with computer.
was it? I
components
can't
for the
remember.
brain.
Yeah, but I
I
thought he
thought
was
he
like
was
super.
Completely.
Yeah, I was gonna say I
robot.
thought he was robot. Yeah.
Let me see.
It's
Well,
been
I
a few
was-
years. I've got to watch it again. I got the 4K. I just haven't gotten
Yeah,
time
because
to
I was
watch
going
it
to bring up
anymore.
Lawnmower Man, and then I realized no, that's another one.
Oh,
that
God.
was human that was
Oh
augmented.
Lord,
Yeah, that's a terrible one. That's a terrible one.
All right.
that's one that's
Well,
so bad it comes back around to being good.
Kinda, yeah.
It's good now.
all right.
Hal
Well, I
likes it.
understand that someone on the panel has to leave us. Brandon,
Oh.
you have to go.
Yeah, my eyes are giving me fits, and I'm
I see.
probably starting to come down with the cold that everyone else in the
Uh-oh.
house
Oh gosh.
has got. So yeah, where I live, we've had tons of snow. We're here at the end of the season. Yeah, it rained 2 inches, froze, then took out a ton of power, and then decided to dump an extra 10 inches on top of that. So
Ooh.
yeah, it's been fun. And of course, everybody gets sick at the same time. So now I've got to help take care of them. Fortunately, the school districts around here decided, no, we're not going to go to school tomorrow. No, we're not going to do that. So, but yeah, my eyes are getting tired. I'm going to take off. You all have a wonderful night. If you go see the movie, go enjoy it for what it is. Just, yeah. And watch The Spice Dive Reddit because it is good. And of
Yes.
course, read the book. Have the book read to you. There is such a thing as audiobooks. So
Yes. Exactly.
and it's so good.
Who's
so-
the narrator?
You'd think I'd remember. There's
And have
quite
there
a bit of
been
it that
any
has.
like redone? Like has it been redone because they do that?
I know that
sometimes?
there was one for Audible. Hold on, just one sec. I'll find it real quick, and then
Okay.
I'll scram. Hold
And
on
I
a second.
found the
second.
answer to the Daryl thing too. He is totally a robot.
That's what I thought.
Completely.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's not like a little boy that's been transformed. He's just
No, I think he's
he's-
cybernetic, but it's just skin over top of robot, right? Basically.
Yeah, he's like, what was it? I looked up how they described him.
He's a Terminator.
Yeah.
It is in the same era,
he's,
but it
he's
was.
a highly advanced microcomputer with extraordinary abilities. That's what they. That's
I was
how
going to
they
say because he
describe him.
also had physical abilities too. It wasn't just limited to his mind. Yeah, I remember that. I got to
used
watch
to
that
really
again.
enjoy that
Yeah.
movie. Yeah, it's good.
I remember he
All right,
steals
here we
the
go.
jet or whatever.
The audiobook that's on Audible, which is the one that I have, narrated by Scott Brick,
Oh, Scott Brick. Oh my gosh. he's
Orla
such a good
Cassidy.
narrator.
Ewan Morton, Simon
Okay.
Vance, Ileana Kadushin, Byron Jennings, David R. Gordon, Jason Culp, Kent Broadhurst,
Uh-huh.
Oliver Wyman, Patricia Kilgruff,
They have a huge
and
cast.
Scott
I did,
Sowers.
I did not know
Uh-huh.
it was multicast. Interesting.
Yeah.
Scott Brick is done an amazing narrator. He's really
Yeah,
good.
there's quite a bit of it that is multicast, but there's also pretty huge stretches of it that isn't. So,
Mm.
but yeah, it's
Nice.
definitely definitely really good, and it's really good to listen to if you have to take a big long trip. So helps keep you focused.
Yep.
and-
Well, just
to get the mind going.
you got to be careful because I was listening to an audiobook one day when I was on the way to the airport to pick up my brother. It was The Lincoln Lawyer, and I got to this pivotal moment at the end, and drove right past my exit. I was so wound up. I was like, "Oh
A
crap!"
little too much on autopilot. No, I
Little
I
bit
have
too
that
much.
problem with going into town. If I need to go a different way than what I normally go to go to work when I have to go into the office, it's it's disconcerting when it happens. But oh well.
Yeah. I'm
But anyways,
paranoid.
it's good to see you all. You all have a wonderful
Same.
night and
Yeah, Brandon.
take
Thank you,
care.
Brandon.
See ya.
I'll
Here.
see you Thursday.
Bye.
Good night, anime guy.
Good night. Yes, we'll see you Thursday.
They'll
That's
be
right.
watching you.
Yes.
Yep, we'll have you on, and we'll talk some anime and just have some fun. All right, everybody, take care.
Right on.
Take care.
Night.
Yeah, I'll probably head out.
Great,
here pretty
he's
soon,
gone.
so-
Let's talk about it now.
Yeah.
Oh, we don't have to talk about anime now. No, I'm just kidding. We've been talking
Yeah,
about
right.
Dune the whole time.
Yeah, now I'm waiting for Dune the anime adaptation.
Well, supposedly, because somebody had brought it up into chat, and Tom, I was wondering if you'd heard anything about an animated Dune series. I hadn't. That's the first I'm hearing of it.
No, I heard some people talking about they would like to see one, and sometimes that gets twisted. They have the Bene Gesserit Sisterhood series they've been working on for a while.
Mm-hmm.
So
Is it related to this?
it is, yeah. I believe it's a prequel, and it's supposed to be
sure.
about the Bene Gesserit setting up the whole, planting and plotting and all that. I imagine.
But it's not based on any of the son's writing, right?
I honestly do not know. I would
Did you
think
read
maybe
any of
they.
those?
I've only like outside of the Paul Atreides stories, I have Andre's the one who's read some of the other stuff, but even he has only read like the War of the Machines. So
Yeah.
like I only vaguely know bits and pieces of stuff like that, but I would imagine that there's stuff that they're pulling from the prequel novels and stuff.
Interesting.
That would be my guess, unless they're going way, way out. I don't know. This is something that's been in the works and was supposed to originally, I believe, be out between movies, and then it got reworked. Because then we were starting to question whether or not it was going to happen at all. But they got I think a new showrunner, and they went back for some rewrites and some other business. So
I bet it depends on how well this movie does.
oh, and after trust me, after they've already greenlit a part 3 and 4, I think.
Oh,
I wouldn't be
you
Have
surprised.
they
Think, you think
Four?
as far as a 4?
I don't know.
I mean,
but
I have no
think-
doubt it would be a 3. At least a third
I would,
one.
knowing Warner Brothers, they're going to go full steam ahead and
Yeah.
say 3 and 4.
It wouldn't shock me because they always seem
It'll
to
be Dune Messiah and Children of Dune,
go-
basically.
Yeah. They always seem to go to a second year in advance.
The thing is,
mean,
Denny's got 3 or 4 other things on his plate. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead, Steven. I didn't mean to interrupt you like that.
Well, what I was going along with that because they just had this True Detective that they're already renewing for a season 5, even though everybody seems to say that season 4 roundly sucked, but they're going on with it anyway. So
Dune the
wouldn't be-
musical.
Dune the
Thanks,
musical,
Mark.
yeah. That wouldn't surprise me either. Brett talking about finishing the Rankin and Bass Lord of the Rings. Yeah, because if I remember correctly, that the animated version ends at Helm's
Okay.
Deep, right?
You're thinking of actually the Bakshi.
Yeah.
Actually, yeah.
What happened here was Rankin and Bass did do The Hobbit
Right.
as a TV special, and I think 77.
Mm-hmm.
And then 78 or 79, Ralph Bakshi did Lord of the Rings, and he was going to do the whole story into 2 movies. And it ended midpoint, and they never finished it because it didn't make any money at the box office. Then, a few years later, Rankin and Bass came back in, and they did as Bass or Bass. Everybody corrects me, and I forget. But
It's spelled Bass, so.
is it Bass? Okay, I'm sorry.
Well,
Rankin
that's
and
just how
Bass.
it's spelled.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering, because I don't know. I always said Bass as a kid, but Rankin and Bass says they came in and they did Return of the King, which was more of a sequel to The Hobbit, but it also finished off the story, so some people consider that the de facto.
Yeah, when you have nothing else, you kind of
Yeah,
you just
kind of.
default to that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Simon, it's made as much in his opening weekend as the first movie made in 2 weeks. I was actually surprised that after the first movie that a second one was greenlit, because I have a memory of the first movie not doing as spectacularly as had been hoped. That was 3 years ago. People were still pretty scared to go back to the
it was
theaters.
day and
It was
date.
simultaneous.
Yeah.
Simultaneously
So,
released as well. But this is
It's-
doing my prediction. I figured it would do about twice of what it did, and I bet you Kong's going to be about the same because of that.
Yeah.
Oh, you Kong versus the second Kong versus Godzilla.
Yeah, because that one actually did better than Dune did.
Oh, and it was such a terrible movie. I hated that movie. No, I mean I liked parts of it, but oh my gosh, it got too stupid.
But sometimes it has nothing to do with how good a movie is. Sometimes it's just about the momentum. The last
when it comes to those movies, those are about, like, here's the thing. I fully embrace what their goofiness is all about now, but but that's because I stood there and watched, and I kind of was what we did a story on it during the King of the Monsters, because that movie kind of flopped at the box office. I don't know if you guys remember. Yeah. But what happened was the toy sales were enormous, and the video sales picked up really well after it came out on video, because it came out on video rather quickly, even before the era that we're in now, with when video comes out right away, like instant video, like Spaceballs.
That's a really good point, Tom. Tom, where are the toys for Dune?
They have not tried to direct this at all towards kids, which is probably a good idea, because kids would be more disappointed with this than they were with the Lynch Dune back in the day.
You're probably right.
There is nothing for kids here to grasp onto.
You're right. You're probably right. Yeah.
There's no fancy spaceships. There's no, alien creatures.
They will not have any idea what the heck.
Which is, of course, why the David Lynch has the weirding modules and the sound, shoo.
Well, the weirding modules also serves another purpose, which you're right. It does add like a Star Wars-y element to it to help. But what
Instead
that
of a lightsaber, it's a sound saber, I guess.
And the thing is, it's cool with that, and I actually kind of like it, is because when Frank Herbert wrote the books, The Weirding Ways is basically like a Sixth Sense mixed with Kung Fu.
Yeah.
Like, it really is. It's nothing more than that. So them having, because I like the idea, because they do have the voice, right? So what if you extended that to a weapon that actually worked on, the vibrations of your voice and certain words that you use? That's kind of ingenious and something we've never really seen in sci-fi before, and is something that, like, Frank Herbert would have created. Yeah. In fact, I think because he was still alive, I think, when Dune came out, and I think he did say that he liked that element. In fact, I think he praised Lynch's Dune quite a bit.
Well, the term, the weirding way, is really just the Fremen's term for what the Bene Gesserit can do.
Their fighting style and all that, yeah.
And their ability to manipulate with their voice, so it is a logical outgrowth of that.
Well, you're right. And what the sci-fi Dune did then instead was they just made it to where the weirding way it's similar as to the book, but it just makes you a bit quicker, and you can like misdirect or whatever. Like, you're a little bit, it's kind of like Kung Fu plus.
Yeah.
So, I mean, in a way, I kind of like the weirding modules a little bit better. It's kind of fun, and it adds that kind of a little bit more techie sci-fi element to the whole equation, but it's not techie because it's like driven by human sound.
Yeah,
it's kind of weird to explain it that way, but it feels like it fits. So,
Sashi says that it looks like Google is saying that the Sisterhood comes out this year. Sashi, when was that article written? Is that?
I'm pretty sure it should be out this year, if not.
Oh, okay.
I know they pushed ahead.
Where's it coming? To Netflix?
HBO Max.
Oh, HBO Max. Okay.
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, like my point is it originally was supposed to be out in between the two, but like I said, I think they got a new showrunner, went back to rewrites and all this other stuff.
And if it's a prequel to Dune anyway, I guess it doesn't matter.
Right. But I do know that the first film did well on video and, viewing on HBO Max and stuff like that. So I have a feeling they kind of knew going into the second film what they had.
Yeah.
And the way it was selling out pretty early on. So I got crap seats, and I know a lot of people are waiting to see it in IMAX. So it might have legs. I think that was the original question, wasn't it?
I think, Tom, tell me what you think about this. Do you think we might be seeing a paradigm shift? We have always talked about that first week, how crucial it is. I'm starting to think that audiences are so gun shy now, even about things they want to see. They wait until they hear what other people say before they go, okay, I'll go check it out. I got you thinking.
Yeah, I think you're right. No, because we did kind of have a similar question to this on Valiant stream.
Oh,
So I don't
okay.
want to give the exact same answer, but it's kind of hard not to,
Yeah, whatever you think,
I mean, basically, like, yeah, I think we're at a point where people are not just because of the economy, but just because they're so used to, fool me once, shame on me, fool me twice, shame on you kind of thing. They're not going to get fooled again going to the theaters and seeing these movies that have been not fulfilling the promises that we're used to. And
Yeah,
Dune, for most people, will fulfill that. It's a spectacle.
yeah,
It's a movie that gives you a reason to get out of the house and go see it in a big theater screen and experience it with people. I mean, I'm not going to take that away from the movie. My personal crap aside, I mean, I do still think the movie deserves Oscar nominations, and if
Sure.
not, maybe even to win for, like, I mean, Javier Bardem. As much as they changed the character, I thought he was amazing in it. You guys
He
brought up
kind of is a
Butler, and
genius. Yeah,
and I thought he was okay. More people have been praising him than I have, but
yeah.
to me, I'm like, he got lucky that he had Skarsgård to copy. Is what I
Yeah.
said.
Yeah.
'Cause that's really all he's doing is copying Skarsgård's accent and voice that he's doing. But he also added his own, flair to it. I'm not going to take that away from him, but he'll definitely.
In
considered, I
fairness,
think.
when you're in a situation like that, you need to hear it in order to do it.
It works for the universe. That's what
Yeah.
all that matters. So they're both from the same place, same
Yeah.
family, all that kind of business.
I was
In fact,
impressed
they
with
sound the
that.
same.
Yeah,
That doesn't bother
it
me.
took me a bit to realize that he sounded like Skarsgård.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh, okay.
Well, at first I'm like, who's talking?
He's from the same. Because it sounded so much like him, but I was just impressed at how well Austin Butler can do his voice.
Well, I think the only reason I bring that up is because the joke going into this was he couldn't shake his Elvis accent.
But obviously he doesn't have he's completely able to modulate his voice depending on the situation and the role.
Yeah.
Well, I think he
was
just
I was super impressed. He was the standout for me. I mentioned that specifically in my own review.
Oh,
I
indeed.
just thought he did a fantastic job.
Oh yeah, and he will be probably up for a nod. I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah. I feel like he deserves it. He is a good actor. He just kind of melts into the role.
I don't agree with a lot of what they did to the Harkonnen, or Harkonnen, however you want to pronounce it. But yeah, the performances were great. I prefer they be more like the original book where they're redheaded.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because it does play a point in the lineage, and there's a reason, and you kind of,
I made a point of mentioning this. I think it was during my discussion of the David Lynch version where you see all the Harkonnens with red hair. And sorry for a spoiler for a future movie, guys, but it's a relevant point. Then Lady Jessica having red hair but a different color, but you have to do that so as not to give away too early that she is, got.
Well, they give it away in the
that
second
lineage.
film. It gets figured out in the second film.
Yeah.
Although
okay.
it's in a different way through a different character, kind of.
Yes.
I think I know. I know.
Well, we have Chekhov's baby in this movie, and that's all I'm going to say.
Yeah.
See, that's part of why I feel like I need to see this movie, because I want to see how that's dealt with.
Well, yes. We're waiting for you to see it so you can tell us what you think about it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think Tom's biting his tongue right now because he doesn't want to.
Yeah, I know, because there's some people in the audience.
I told you all I
haven't
could
seen
with
it.
Chekhov's baby. That should tell you everything you need to really know without me getting into spoilers. Do you know anything about the reference? I pull it from Chekhov's gun.
Yeah, no, exactly. Jesse's talking toys here. I have some real problems with the Super 7 toy line. I've gotten spoiled by, these highly articulated 3 3/4 inch figures. And I just feel like if you're going to do retro figures that are 5 points of articulation, maybe bring that price down a little bit. Just saying.
Not
And
sure
yeah.
with the new Dune figures. I don't
And if
know.
you're
Is
good-
McFarlane involved with that at all, or
I have not heard.
This is
of
where I
course, I think
this
he's
is why I
talking.
wish we
Of
had
course,
Tim. He would know.
I think, of course, he's talking about the David Lynch versions of these characters, not the new one. And McFarlane, I have a problem with because I'm still struggling over the. Oh, I'm going to go ahead and continue the Superpowers collection, but we're going to do all different characters from different universes, and they're going to be in a different scale from the ones that you had. So there's no interplayability between these things. That's brilliant. Sorry,
No, that's fine. That's fine.
On toys.
All right. Well, to get us away from Dune a little bit, there was one more thing that I did want to bring up before we start wrapping up the show, and that is the story that you had on Geeky Geezers, Troy,
Yes.
concerning the prequel to The Omen.
Yes.
And how, once again, we have kind of actress interrupt us here with the star of the prequel.
Another young female actress who thinks that the whole acting world for women started with her.
With them, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Oh gosh, this honestly, I wish I didn't know this because now I'm gonna have a chip on my shoulder if I go watch this.
But like I said,
I was interested to see it.
Like I said, though, just because you got a dumbass speaking out of turn doesn't necessarily say anything about the movie. It might, but it might not.
This is one of the most tone deaf things. I don't even have to see the quote.
Yeah.
Because women dominating the horror genre.
Exactly.
I mean, do we have to inform them about the final girl, Scream Queens?
Right. They even made a whole movie called The Final Girls.
Right. We never had Jamie Lee Curtis, leading a whole, franchise.
Mrs. Voorhees. I mean,
right.
Women have been in every corner of horror. That's like one area where they have been. I mean, yes, you could say that in some earlier slasher films there was an exploitative nature to it, but at the same time,
and this article gets into that too. It's
the
like,
guys got just as much crap as the women did as far as the bad stuff. And in most cases, the women, you would always have a woman be victorious at the end, right? Like that was. So to me, this whole thing is just, I hate this. Is to me, it's just as bad as the black people always die first in horror movies, which is nonsense too.
It makes me feel like she honestly has never really watched horror.
Well, what's
or
weird?
She would know that's bullshit.
Exactly, it's the same thing with the black people in horror movies. Because I'm like, first of all, name 5 movies that have horror movies that have black people in them. You can't.
Right.
So this whole I mean, you could.
I've seen a few horror movies with black people in them.
There are, and the thing is like I've seen more movies where the black characters live than where they die, and especially not die first, right? Like
I don't
to
know
me,
how
that
became
started
a
with
thing,
Scream.
honestly.
It started with Scream 2.
Oh, okay.
Because you had Jada Pinkett Smith get killed off at the beginning, and then you had the camera guy at the end go, "My black people don't survive much long in this situation. I'm out." So he's like, so to me, that's where I feel like that came from. And then there was some comedian or something like that who had done some bit about it, and I'm like, just because they did a bit about it and you think it's funny doesn't make it necessarily true. It's just like this shit here.
And not to mention, it had nothing to do with the color of her skin. It was just the fact that it was Jada Pinkett Smith they wanted to kill her off.
Yeah, it was because she was famous. Yeah, it was because she was because of the first movie.
I thought it was.
It wasn't even it was because it was Drew Barrymore in the first movie, so that was the whole gimmick. Is you tease the audience with it's going to have this movie star in it, and then it doesn't.
Then you kill him off. Yeah, exactly. And that's just it. Oh, it's fine when you do it to Drew Barrymore.
That was the play on Hitchcock. Yeah.
Yeah.
For the Psycho bit.
Yeah, no, this is, and what's ironic about this article, because she goes on to talk about, women and their boobs out and getting cut in half. I'm like, so you saw a whole bunch of movies from the late 70s, early 80s.
I want to know what movie this is. Steven.
Yeah.
What movie was there? A movie where a boob gets cut in half? I want to see this.
Well, no, talking about all the topless scenes in early slasher films. It's like, so in other words, you saw some movies from 40 years ago, then you haven't seen any in between, and now you've got something to say. Okay, fine. I'm kind of saying I kind of miss the boobs, to be honest with you.
We all do, women included.
Yeah.
Also,
You have an R
slightly-
rating for a reason.
Slightly off the subject, Hollywood, please break yourselves of this habit of putting an actor from Game of Thrones and everything.
Oh gosh, yeah, right.
Just stop now, please.
Where'd this come from? What's this about?
Because the actress from this movie is mouthing off here in the article was on Game of Thrones, apparently.
Oh, who the
Yeah.
heck was she? I don't even recognize her.
Oh,
I
she's-
think she's in this new one that's on the
Oh,
dragons
you mean the
thing.
house? Oh, I haven't even seen that.
She apparently she was one of the Baratheons. That's all I know.
Oh,
So,
okay.
I don't. She's just striking me as one of these, Gen Z actresses who think they're the
Mhm.
first one to do everything, and that gets so
Oh.
annoying so fast.
I'm
This-
reading her quote, and it's actually super
Yeah.
annoying.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's-
this
I
movie
do
is
not believe
gonna tank.
she has watched horror.
no.
For her to say something like that tells me she has not. She's not a horror fan. She has not seen enough horror to know what the hell she's even talking about here. She's acting like we're just now realizing women know what's scary. What?
I never
Yeah.
saw Nancy Thompson's tits.
and we were really looking.
Yeah, exactly.
In fact, when we
Mhm.
think we are, it's a body double.
Yeah.
Even the closest we get. See, that's the
Don't you
thing, is
just
this
miss the
misinterpretation that
80s?
every one of these chicks just gets instantly fucking naked. No. It's
Yeah.
meant generally like one or two of them, and they're the most
Oh, I
loosest
know
of the
who
bunch
I know
usually,
who
and
you're
that's
talking
it.
about, Simon. She played in the original Game of Thrones.
Oh, okay.
She was
yeah.
Jaime and Cersei's daughter who was assassinated, who was killed.
Oh, she died off real early. Okay, yeah.
I don't remember when it was it happened.
And,
Yeah, right, Sashi? Hollywood actress is annoying. In other news.
And yeah, well, good point there. And the other thing too. No, what Tom said, very, very important. We joke about, but it's really true. Is the nudity necessary? In this instance, yes, it is, because as you point out, it makes the point. She is the loose woman. She is and a lot of these slasher films were about that whole
Moralistic
the
stuff. It
moralistic
wasn't just the
stuff,
women,
yeah.
though. It was if
It
a
was the
man
guys
does the
too.
same
Oh, yeah.
kind of stuff too, and that's just it. But here's where I think they have an issue with this, is because they think you should be able to be promiscuous and loose and that not be something that gets you killed. In fact, they think something that's a killable offense is like dead naming somebody.
Yeah, exactly.
And you think I'm kidding? There's actual movies and shows now that have these kind of things in it. In fact, I was turned off by the Chucky show, even though I'm fully well aware of and vicariously know the Don Mancini, the guy who created. I've known he's been gay forever,
Yeah.
right?
Same
There's
with
already
Clive
been some
Barker,
queer
yeah.
elements put into Chucky, so I'm not opposed to that. They had a couple new characters come in that were gay. No
Yeah.
problem. First season, sure, they're gay. It didn't.
Yeah.
The only time it was mattered is when it mattered.
Yeah.
Right. And it was just because the two characters were in a relationship and you had all this stuff going on around them that it was affecting them being able to get into a relationship. Okay. So we actually made that play into the plot. We instantly start off the second season where the whole first episode is revolved around their relationship. It's like, okay, that's cool, but I want to see Chucky kill people. That's what I signed up for.
Yeah. The only reason
You have another episode because this is the gimmick of the second season, is every episode is based on a movie. There's an episode that's based on Knives Out. And in that episode, you have Glenn and Glenda, which are played by either the same actress or twin actresses. So they've not only missed where they could have had a great freaking joke and play into the whole trans trend, right? Because if you guys remember Seed of Chucky, the whole thing was Glenn didn't know if he was a girl or a boy. And then they decided to put him into twins, one being a boy, one being a girl. You could have had the joke that they put him in the wrong one. So the one that's in the boy wanted to be the girl, and the girl that's in the girl wanted to be the boy. You could even have played with that and had fun with that. But oh no, they just have two that are girls, and they end up justifying them killing a bunch of people because they're transphobic
Oh God.
and queerphobic and all.
Yeah.
Like they actually try to justify that in the storyline, and I'm like, wait a minute here. Are you really trying to say that that's a justifiable kill?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, come on, people. Have we gotten that far from the mothership here? Like, it's
Yeah.
one thing to say, yes, okay, it's a little Bible thumping to be like, yes, if you're promiscuous
Yeah.
and all these other things in a horror movie, you're going to get killed, you're punished, whatever. It could be another thing to just point out that, you know what, there's another way of looking at this. Those people that are doing those things, they're not aware of their surroundings.
Yeah.
The ones that are aware of their surroundings are the girls that aren't doing the shit that the other girls and guys are doing.
Right. That
And
is
you know
true.
who brought that up? I
Hmm.
believe it was the chick who played Alice in the first Friday the 13th movie, if I'm not mistaken, or the chick from the second one. One of the two
Yeah.
brought that up in an interview once, and I'm like, that is brilliant, because that is exactly it. It doesn't even have to necessarily be about the moralistic aspect. It's just the fact that these other kids are
Situational
distracted,
awareness. Yeah.
doing drugs and having sex and
That's
doing
just-
whatever.
Yeah, this is exactly what happened in Halloween. You know, her two friends were
Yes.
flighty idiots. They're all concerned about how they're going to look and their boyfriend, and she's just this little bookworm, and she's paying attention to everything around her. So yeah, it's exactly the same.
She even sees Michael exactly
She
saying
sees
like,
him, yeah.
and nobody else does. They don't take him seriously to where
Mhm.
she does. Exactly. Yeah.
And you know, the best slasher films are the ones you come away with, you know, that whole survival thinking. You know, what would I do in this circumstance? How would I survive this? You know, they've even made game franchises out of the concept.
Well, and with Freddy, it's a great with his women. See, he's got a few, and that's the thing. I brought up Nancy with
Oh yeah.
already,
Mhm.
but I mean, he's got a few that he's danced with, and that's the beauty with that character is that it doesn't work the same with a guy, and we saw that with Nightmare on Elm Street too, because it just comes
Right.
off as the gay Nightmare on Elm Street movie, which it is.
Right.
And I mean,
Yeah.
you got to have that kind of dangerous dance with Freddy and a female victim. It doesn't work otherwise. It doesn't feel the same, right? You know what I mean? It just, you have that Beauty and the Beast element there to it, even though Freddy is this vile creature that will kill you.
Yeah.
You know, it's this thing that women have. It's kind of that bad boy element. It's Freddy's playing into that, into the psyche, right? You know, it's just,
Yeah.
it's a very dramatic kind of storytelling that you almost need to have the female element there. That is this, whether she's a strong friend, sister, mother kind of character, whatever she is, because that's a great example of one is Nancy, because she goes from being the teenager in the first movie to the motherly figure in the
Yeah.
third, to literally being the mother in New Nightmare,
True.
right? Like, so it's like this perfect like through line for her character, and that's why she's my favorite of all the slasher queens, and then second, of course, being Jamie Lee Curtis. But
And
I
the
always
oth-
give Nancy the
and
big.
the other thing not to ever lose sight of with these kinds of movies, it goes back to Dracula and all the others. Just remember, the bad guy is the bad guy, regardless of why
Yes.
you want to give him, you know, the cover for why it's okay to kill these people and not these people. It's not okay to kill any of the people.
Yeah.
Well, that's why I love Freddy so much, because there's
Yeah.
no real dilemma there. Like, Freddy is the bad guy,
Right.
and he's gotten these powers, and that's what makes it even worse. Is like something has given him this ability to kill beyond the grave, right? Like, and he sees it as taking revenge, but that's just the limitations of what he can do.
Right.
But you know, I picture, just like they did show in the whatever, Freddy's Dead or whatever with the dream demons. I just pictured, you know, he made it to hell,
Yeah.
and the devil thought that he was one of his greatest creations, that he couldn't let him fester in hell. He had to send him back.
Yeah.
You know, that's the way I always looked at it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because
yeah.
I mean, Freddy was. I mean, he was a child molester, a child murderer. You know, this filthy creature that got away on a technicality, so the parents of the town had to take matters into their own hands. I mean, they were
Mhm.
completely justified if you ask anybody.
Yeah.
And then they screwed it up in the remake.
Oh, you know, all of these remakes have been horrible. Really. I don't think I've liked any of them. I even tried to really like the Hellraiser remake. And
Yeah,
I'm
that
like,
wasn't as bad, but yeah, I had issues.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. It wasn't as bad, but and there were some elements about it I really did like. I liked the way they handled the lament configurations, plural. But I don't know. Stop with the remakes. Make new
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
Right.
Indeed.
I mean, well, that Hellraiser remake almost is a new. Might as well have just been another sequel, and You know, we've just moved on from Pinhead to a new priestess or whatever.
Yeah, it's a shame though, because I felt like the last, and I forget the names, but the last one before this remake
Judgment.
actually was pretty good actually.
Oh yeah,
I'm like,
Judgment's really good actually.
and it's kind of left on a cliffhanger, and I kind of want to know what happens with that.
Well, and I've talked to Gary Tunnicliffe many a times, and I've told him, if worse comes to worse, dude, you should just try and do the auditor as its own thing.
Yeah.
I said, if they don't own any kind of rights to that, man, I mean, that would be an excellent fucking TV series. I told him. Can you imagine that?
Great with that.
Like,
yeah.
kind of like he's basically your crypt keeper character, but what it is because for those who don't know, the movie Judgment is loosely like this idea that there's this person that is kind of like your auditor before you go into hell. Right. And he decides what your punishment's going to be. He's kind of like the go-between between hell and the Cenobites and all that kind of stuff. But the great part about it is you come into this house and he literally goes through all your sins that you've done. And then that leads up to your judgment and all that kind of stuff. So like just thinking about so think about every episode you have somebody who's literally getting audited.
Yeah.
Right. So they have to basically relive and go through and answer for all the things that they've done in their lives. So it's like every week would be a different person and you get to see these horrible things that they've done, or they're a good person. Right. And, you know, it could be a different thing every week. I think it'd be really interesting and fun.
Yeah. And I personally, we've had so many years of great Hellraiser comics. Could we just get, you know, that story wrapped up in a comic or something? I mean, I don't know. I wish. Well,
yeah.
Maybe that AI is going to come out and I'll be able to make my own, you know.
Well, and if I remember right, he's cast out at the end of Judgment, right? So like,
exactly.
I mean, that's kind of where I said you can kind of just pick up with that new Hellraiser movie. It's kind of like that's the next sequel. He's just
not to mention what an ingenious idea. So they've played with the Hell Priest being like dealing with like Christian tropes and stuff like that. You know, Jesus wept and all that kind of stuff. And then when he's cast out, he becomes human, which is exactly what Jesus is, you know, in lore. He's God made flesh, having to live as a human for a period of time. What an interesting concept.
Yeah, and I think that's where Gary was kind of going with it too, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, we got plenty of interviews.
That's good writing for you. They get the point across. You know, you don't need a director's cut. You don't need, you know, backstage interviews.
Which is funny because he does have an extended cut, but they won't let him release it.
Yeah, but he told his story well enough. We got it. You know, right. You don't need to spoon feed. You shouldn't have to. I don't know. I don't know. Get Script Doctor to fix your movies, people.
As well.
Every time I hear him on a show, it's like, oh, why can't he just do this movie? I don't know, guys.
I'm not leaving who he.
Oh, you're going
speaking of AI robots. We didn't get anything you said, Steven.
Yeah. Repeat that.
Am I roboting again? How do I sound?
Did.
Right now.
Yeah. You were, but now you're fine.
Okay. Damn you, StreamYards. Let me talk during my show.
Yeah.
All right. Speaking of which, we have reached a point in the show where we start to wrap things up anyway. And Tom, since you have to jet here, why don't you let everybody know what's coming up for you?
Of course, I got the morning show here in about
a couple
10 hours. Yeah. So I'll see you guys there probably, if not. But thanks for having me. It's always fun just to chit chat and.
Hey, thank you for coming on.
Yeah.
All right, Bill.
Yes, sir.
Oh, what's up? What's coming up for your channel?
Just the normal things, and I'm working on special projects that have yet to come out, but I'm producing them.
Right. And of course, we have Predator coming up this Thursday.
Yeah.
For Action
Predator.
Theater. So looking forward to that.
Mm-hmm.
Right on.
Nice.
All right. Sin.
Well, tomorrow I'll be on with you talking about the Regal Mystery Movie Monday. And of course, as I was ranting about right before we went live, Regal is having 4 Mystery Movie Mondays this month.
Yes.
All in a row,
Whoa.
2 of which I won't be able to see because I'm going to be traveling this week and I'll be gone almost 2 weeks. So that pisses me off.
Slacker.
Oh my god. And then Tuesday, speaking of remakes, on my channel with the group of people that I will do live streams with often, or try to do it monthly, the theme is going to be, we're going to go around in a circle, each of us telling 3 movies that we feel should be remade. So that's the topic for Tuesday. And then at some point this week, I want to try to get my review for the upcoming Netflix series, The Gentleman, which is a spinoff of Guy Ritchie's Gentleman movie, The Gentleman. I want to get that review up, and then I want to maybe film 1 or 2 reviews of something this week so that I can have some content for when I'm gone. Yeah, that's what's up.
All right. Troy and Netter.
Yeah, well, we'll of course be with you for, as you can probably tell from my icon, Twin Peaks watch party on Tuesday. The next episode live from Sparkwood 21. We're going into our second half of season 2, which is the weaker part in my opinion, but we'll get you through it. We'll get you through it. And we'll help get you caught up if you've missed any episodes. We'll let you know what's going on. That's Tuesday. Of course, Thursday over on Netter's Network for Thursday Things. This Friday, I will be Last Call, 9 Central, 10 Eastern, where my special guest will be Rancor Steve. We'll be talking men's issues and dealing with the world that hates toxic masculinity. That is Friday. Saturday, of course, Big Al Presents is hosting a watch party of Gordo. Our special guest will be Evelyn Hampton, great friend of the community, who has been after Netter and me to watch Gordo for a long time. So we are going to finally do that. And that's the week from me.
All right. That rolls it back around to myself. Of course, as Sin said, she'll be joining me for Mystery Movie Night at the Regal tomorrow night at 10 p.m. Troy, Netter, and Boomer joining me for live from Sparkwood and 21 on Tuesday. Bill's going to be joining me. I'm going to be joining Bill, says Shell, for Action Theater Thursday at 3 p.m. And we are going to be watching Predator. And then, of course, next Sunday, Unscripted returns for season 2. It will be a 2-hour Oscar not so special. I am going to be I'm going to be shitting on the Oscars for the first 2 hours it's on before Geeky Geezers comes on. So that's where I'll be. All right. Folks, any last words?
Thanks so much.
I got nothing.
Right.
I am tired.
I like turtles.
Gosh,
There you go.
I'm not tired anymore.
I'm awake. What was it?
All right. Netter, if you're still with us, why don't you do your usual closer?
He's asking if you'd be willing to do your usual closer for us.
Right now?
Yes, right now.
Sure.
I guess.
She was just getting up, but she will do it.
Sorry.
No, that's fine.
So y'all ready?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, first, of course, I want to remind y'all to subscribe to every member of the panel and every member of the chat. And if you think you're sub, please go back and double check, because YouTube likes to take away those subs from us, which is not very nice of them. And that said, we can talk amongst ourselves, and that's all well, good, and fun. But it is so much more fun when you guys are joining us in the chat and you're dropping your comments, questions, trivia, being goofy, whatever it may be. And it doesn't feel like we're separated by miles or continents in some cases. It feels like we're all hanging out in the same room, enjoying each other's company and having a great time. And you guys, you're not just our friends. You're our family. You can be anywhere right now, and you chose to be here with us. That is so encouraging. So thank you all for being here. Have a wonderful week, and we will see you next time. God bless.
Thanks.
Thank you, Netter. And as I always say, what do I always say? Oh, it's late.
Something about winning.
This is how we win.
Yes,
that much.
yes, something like that.
Something,
how we win,
something.
etc., etc.
This is how we win.
All right.
Stay
First
strong.
off, I want to thank everybody who was in my chat and since chat, and everyone following along on Rumble and Twitter. I hope that you enjoyed the show. If you are new to the channel, and I did see a couple of new faces there in the chat, and you like what you see, please feel free to subscribe. I would like to reach 2,500 subs by the end of the month.
Wow.
So, and we're pretty close already. So, thank you all of the new subscribers, and all of the old ones who have stuck with me through all this time. You're why I do this show. So, from HQ and all points, north, south, east, and west, good night, take care, stay strong, because this is how we win. Good night.